Hello, EctoSage here on the Sage channel, and if you've been following StarCitizen, or at least the StarCitizen subreddit, you might have noticed some drama recently. And the main thing that kicked this drama off was a recent referral contest, where basically, if you already own StarCitizen and want to go ahead and get a little bit of a kickback, you can give a referral code to your buddies when they sign up to the game, and if they buy something, you get a little kickback then, once they've actually, bought something, not just use the referral code. Thing is, it hasn't always been that, worth the while. The rewards haven't always been the best unless you get loads and loads of people. And they sort of figured, well, let's go ahead and have a referral contest to try to get more people involved. At least that was the original pitch behind it. Well, when they finally came out with this recent contest, the rewards were as follows. If you manage to refer one person between April 20th and August 8th, you will get an in-game Star Kitten t-shirt. Okay, that's not exactly impressive. You manage to refer 10 people, you will get a pink dragonfly space bike, which is a bike that hovers on ground or flies around in space. Cool thing, pink, odd, considering once they had said they don't want pink ships, but it looks like they've reversed their opinion on that, so I'm actually a bit happy that we can have the funny pink flying ships out there that'll get blown up or be the conquerors of the universe. And then the two last rewards, yes indeed, it goes from getting one person to sign up, 10 people to sign up, or the top place reward here actually requires you to get 2,942 people to sign up. That's right, if you want the top place reward, you have to be the first person to get 2,942 people to use your referral code and then buy something for the game. Kind of a jump there, isn't it? And that's, I think, why a lot of people got quite upset. And in fact, there's a runner-up prize where if you're either the second person to get 2,942 people or just the second closest to that number come the end of the competition, you'll get an Idris M frigate, which is pretty cool. Oh, by the way, the first place reward there is a trip to Gamescom in Germany, which includes airfare, hotel fees, and all that, which is, well, actually quite expensive. So you can understand the idea that maybe you should have a large backer number to get that. Unfortunately, though, it does mean the great majority of these rewards, well, I say the great majority, the bottom half of the 4 rewards, I don't think many people actually get. In fact, I don't think many people even get the refer 10 people thing. This has actually led some people to go ahead and create a new account, buy something on it, create the new account, use their own referral code from their main account, buy something on the account, that way it counts as actually a person being referred, and then gifting that item they bought back to themselves so they still have it on their main account, and doing this a number of times to possibly go ahead and get, let's say, that pink Star Kitten dragonfly little ship to fly about in. Which in theory isn't a really good idea, is it? Because the idea of one of these referral code contest things is supposed to be bringing, of course, money in, but also bringing new people in to the community, getting more people interested in the game. And it's actually led to some people like, what is the point of this contest? In fact, when they announced this contest during one of their weekly update videos, they actually showed 4 different live streamers up there with their referral code, pretty much saying, look, we're putting these people at the front of the line. We're already showing you their referral codes. We're going to make it easier for them. In truth, the whole point of this contest is pretty simple and straightforward. It's StarCitizen, the makers of it, trying to go ahead and get some more money to continue production of the game. Now, I don't think they're on the brink of shutting down or anything, but I think people just need to realize that, unfortunately, that's why they did it this way, is they were just hoping not really to give their backers a kickback by referring their friends, but more of just to try to get more people into the community. That way they can have a little bit more money to continue building out the game at the speed they're going and not have to cut back or anything such as that, or just so they have more of a money buffer zone. Since the way they are pushing forward with so many studios and so many employees, they basically need a somewhat constant supply of new funds coming in from ship sales and such things. So that is one of the main dramas currently. There's actually been a little tiny bit of a minor drama, because at the same time, or I say same time, shortly after, they announced another concept ship sale, this has been one of their main ways of getting funding in. I haven't really bought into these in maybe a year or two, but I will sometimes, use my store credits to buy into it with money I've already spent on the game, so I can check these ships out once they come to fruition. And the ship they've gone ahead and shown is a Banu Defender. It's an alien spaceship. It's basically the only other Banu ship we have, which is the alien species if you don't know, is the Banu Merchantman, a ship I absolutely adore. And this new Banu ship caught me off guard because it looks a bit different, but nobody really seemed to mind. What they did mind, though, is the placement of the two cockpits, because it has a gunner cockpit who's going to man the guns of the ship, so the other person can just concentrate on flying the ship, something I'm actually... well, I was originally hoping would be there for the Avenger, as well as the Xi'an Scout, because both of those ships were originally supposed to have 2 seats. So I was maybe either thinking having a friend or an NPC manning the gun, so I can just concentrate on flying, or vice versa. But those lost it, but this ship has it, and everyone's complaining because the field of view while in those cockpits looks like it's going to be pretty... well, so-so. In fact, some people have gone ahead and placed a camera inside the small 3D model we had and seen that, well, the left and right wings on this ship are blocking out a fair amount of your view, no matter which seat you sit in. So, who knows, it might find some changes to it in the future to make that work, or maybe CIG is, well, they know what they're doing a bit better than us random viewers. It would appear that they've also changed the art style of the Banu Merchantman. And everything else I've mentioned so far is I really don't care about too much. The referral code drama, I expected that to be a bit of drama, but I know why they did it. They just wanted some, well, they wanted to try to continue their money inflow. And me being on YouTube means I've already gotten a fair few referrals, nowhere near that number, but enough to get some of the basic rewards, and I feel happy-dappy enough with that not to mind. I do understand that the whole system is a bit disappointing to anybody who doesn't have, you know, 100,000 followers or something. That's unfortunately the way these things seem to go. It would be nice if it is, hey, you got 10 friends, you've probably gotten a fair amount of rewards for that, because most people don't even have 10 real close friends. Either way, though, moving on from the cockpit, that seems to have some odd viewing FOV issues, which I'm not too keen on the ship anyway, so I don't really care that much about it, and I'm sure CIG will do something very, very silly to address that. Maybe they won't, I don't know. You look at the Xi'an Scout and that thing had 2 big bars across the middle of the screen where you couldn't really see what you're doing. But they did give me hope recently because they did announce the FOV slider is confirmed, so they're at least thinking about field of view a bit more now, so maybe it'll even roll back into the ship design. Since, of course, you know, that's something we've been asking for quite a long time, the FOV slider. That was my personal drama for about half a year there, until they finally showed it in a Around the Verse episode, which is one of their weekly updates. But no, my main complaint, my main worry, what I think everyone should be paying attention to, the real drama behind all of this, the thing that everyone should be throwing a bit of a hissy fit, or at least taking serious concern to, is the Banu Merchantman. Remember how I mentioned they announced this Banu Defender? Well, in some of that concept art for the Banu Defender that they just announced, if you look in the background, there's a pretty awesome looking ship there. It has a very similar silhouette to a ship we've seen before, but well, it doesn't quite have the same style. In fact, the Banu Defender doesn't really have the same style at all that the Banu ships of the past have been described to have. It's cool and metallic, and, well, I actually quite like the looks of it, but it's not the almost gothic-like thing we got before. So does that mean that ship in the background there is the Banu Merchantman? Well, of course it is. I'm being facetious. It's the Banu Merchantman. They even have some nice new concept arts of it, and it does all look very cool. Very, very cool. But let's for 1 second take a look back at the original Banu Merchantman concept art. That, to me, has a completely different vibe. It's almost a gothic vibe. It's almost like something out of the Unitologist Church from Dead Space 2. I absolutely love and adore it. It has these massive openings in its wing with thrust coming down from them. It is a gorgeous and beautiful ship that clearly feels very alien-esque, while at the same time almost makeshift and like something, oh, I don't know, it's so industrious with the metal grating, the containers down below. But also it does have those more streamlined lines, where if you then go ahead and look at the one from the background, or even the one there they let you see it sitting on the hangar bay, well, it's completely lost those two thrusters that went through the wings. Completely lost them. In fact, the wings seem like they have shriveled up, and it's lost a lot of its feeling that it had before. Now, we can assume that it hasn't lost the big beam that shoots downwards, because in another one of the shots they showed, it still has that. But a great deal of the feel of this ship has been lost. Now, of course, you might argue, well, this was all concept art. Everything is subject to change. Yes. But what gets me a bit irritated and almost angry is they've taken money for these ships. In fact, with this ship, I believe it was $250. Now, the price has, since it seems to have increased in size, gone up to $350. But myself and quite a few other people did buy this ship when it used to look, well, when it was presented to look like this. And also, you could argue that we shouldn't be complaining now. We should have complained in the past, because there have been other pieces of concept art released that showed it looking slightly more streamlined and, well, honestly, far, far less interesting. In fact, and some of them, honestly, I would argue uninteresting. And in fact, the only real positive I can see when looking at the new one is the size change. Yes, I like the new ship on its own, but I don't like it as the Banu merchantman, because the old ship was gorgeous. The only thing that makes me want to accept the new ship is the change in size. If we were to go ahead and look at this old piece of concept art of the ship coming in for a landing, you can see two people standing there. The large arch thing on the bottom of the beam that sticks down is folded up to allow people to stand there. You can see it's a pretty hefty ship in size. You can see the people in there at the little walkway standing there with the staffs and whatnot. And then you look at the new one, and where are the people? Oh, they're there. They're right there. You have to zoom in quite a bit to see them. The ship has grown quite a bit. Now, I am a bit of a sucker for megastructures, for huge, huge ships. So, part of me wants to be absolutely furious that I spent money on a ship that I thought was going to end up looking like some sort of gothic beauty that might increase in size over time, but I was pretty sure would continue to have that same just incredible feel to it, with the darker metals, the spikes and the ribbings, and this sort of mix between metal, open space, and almost metal mesh holding things into place, which has now become something that looks vaguely similar, but has absolutely none of that feeling. That ship does not give me that same vibe of this is a weird gothic alien ship floating through the abyss that you will be amazed to step upon. It gives me the feeling that it's some sort of human ship that's just trying to be sleek and came across as very ugly and poorly defined.
And the defenders that people are buying are specifically made for human consumption. So
yeah. So if you come across a Banu ship in the wild, it might look vastly different from what you're buying.
Okay.
What? Now, like I said, I'm a sucker for size, so part of me wants to scream, oh my god, give me this massive mega ship, which, honestly, I don't see why they wouldn't give us this massive mega ship. But give us this massive mega ship if you think it needs to be that big now, in the original art style. That's the drama that I think everyone should be uppity-duppity about. Maybe, of course, the referral thing a bit, since it is targeting people with hundreds of thousands of followers or whatnot, and pretty much ignoring the original fan base, minimizing the original fan base. But this is where, if you want to have drama, this is where the drama should be. And the fact that they basically sold you something cool, said they're going to give you something awesome, beautiful, and gothic that I have been absolutely in love with since I first saw it, and now it's starting to look like, as their concept and designs have somehow changed, like it's going to be something, well, honestly, quite disgusting and bland from this top angle, if absolutely huge, which makes me want to call it beautiful just because it's big, maybe more interesting from another angle, and almost good-looking from another, but it's still not. It's still not that original concept that I was sold on. It's not that concept I bought into, and in fact, if we were to go to the store page, when they list it here, they don't show this new concept art next to it. They still show the original concept, making me believe if you were to buy a Banu merchantman, you wouldn't get that interesting but nowhere near as unique thing we're seeing now in the background of some of these new concept arts, you would get that fantastic, beautiful ship with the large, open areas in its wings that seem to be allowing it to hover more easily in atmosphere, instead of these somewhat interesting design changes, but with these dinky thrusters that appear to be just stuck on top of the wings now, like some hideous, poorly designed growth. Anyway, that's that. That's the recent drama in StarCitizen, and I believe that is where the drama should have been. And the fact that we're seeing some beautiful designs change to be, well, quite depressing and a letdown, considering this game was sold as the return to PC. This was the return of Chris Roberts, the guy who, if you wanted to play his old games, you had to buy the best possible PC to really be able to play them. Why is this ship changing? Is it to save poly counts, just like when they nerfed some of the Van Duel larger ship designs to remove the ribbing? Is that it? Because if that's it, that's not the game I backed. I backed the game that wasn't going to compromise. I backed the game that was going to make these amazing ships truly look amazing. That's what I want. I don't like this compromise, if that's what this is, if you're changing the whole art style just to be a lower poly count. Because honestly, I don't like this new art style, and I would have never bought this ship presented the way it is now. It's quite disappointing, and just a little bit infuriating. Anyway, that is that. Thank you a bunch for watching and listening, and I'll see you all next time. Ta-ta.